Today, we're diving into an absolute thriller. We're setting the stage for a massive, high-stakes round of 32 clash right at Seattle Stadium. In tournament football, the pressure is just immense. Literally, a single mistake or just one moment of pure brilliance can mean the difference between moving on or, well, packing your bags and heading home. And this wasn't just any match. This was an epic battle that really tested the limits of human endurance, strategy, and just sheer willpower. So, I want you to put yourself in the boots of these players for a second. What exactly goes through a team's mind when they look up at the scoreboard, see that they're down 2-0, and realize there are only 4 minutes left on the clock? Your legs feel like lead, the opposing fans are already celebrating in the stands, and your tournament dreams look totally shattered. It's in these absolutely desperate moments that we see what a team is really made of. And honestly, that brings us to the core of what we're unpacking today. When all seems lost, how do you find your spark? In this explainer, we're going to break down, step by step, one of the most thrilling, whiplash-inducing comebacks in sports history. We'll see how momentum can turn on a dime, how panic can just dismantle a rock-solid defense, and why you should absolutely never count a team out until the ref blows that final whistle. Right, let's get into Act 1. The Lions strike first. Senegal's early dominance. Right from the very first whistle, Senegal was dictating the pace. They were applying heavy pressure and basically letting everyone know they weren't just there to make up the numbers. And man, in the 24th minute, it completely paid off. Habib Diarra found the back of the net with a play that just stunned the Belgian defense. When a goal like that goes in so early in a knockout match, it changes the entire psychological landscape of the pitch. Belgium suddenly found themselves completely on their heels, forced to rethink their entire game plan just a quarter of the way through the match. So, as the ref blew the whistle for the break, Senegal's Lions of Teranga had secured a really solid 1-0 lead heading into halftime. And honestly, looking at the balance of play, it was totally deserved. They were in control, disciplined, and executed their offensive strategy to a T. For Belgium, you can imagine that halftime locker room must have been incredibly tense. They had to figure out some way to break through a Senegalese squad that just looked impenetrable. Moving right along to Act 2. On the brink of defeat, a mountain to climb. Now, if Belgium thought they could just gently ease their way back into this match, they were sorely mistaken. Things were about to get a whole lot worse for the Red Devils. Senegal came out absolutely firing in the second half. They didn't just sit back to protect their lead. No, they were hunting for a way to put the game to bed. And just 6 minutes after the restart, in the 51st minute, they found it. Ismaïla Sarr capitalized on a crucial defensive opening and slid home a devastating second goal. Double trouble for Belgium. A 1-goal deficit is tough, but a 2-goal deficit in knockout football, that's like scaling a sheer cliff face. Down 2-0, Belgium's World Cup dreams looked completely shattered as the clock just kept ticking away. The pacing of the game really slowed down to this heavy feeling of inevitability. You could practically feel the desperation setting in. The Red Devils had absolutely no choice left but to throw everything forward, leaving themselves wide open at the back, just hoping, praying for a single spark to ignite an impossible comeback. Take a look at this stark contrast here. In the 85th minute, Senegal is comfortably leading 2-0, and Belgium is just operating on pure, unstructured desperation. But flash forward just 5 minutes to the 90th minute. The game is tied 2-2, and suddenly it's Senegal who's panicking. How does one team completely collapse and another resurrect themselves in the time it takes to watch a commercial break? Well, this perfectly foreshadows the most unprecedented momentum shift imaginable. Which brings us to our next part, a 3-minute miracle, the emotional pivot. Okay, so this dramatic turnaround officially kicked off in the 86th minute. The energy of this match went from a slow march toward a Senegalese victory to an absolute chaotic frenzy in the blink of an eye. Belgium had brought on substitute Romelu Lukaku, desperate for some kind of physical presence in the box. And guess what? It worked. Lukaku finally found that elusive pocket of space and smashed the ball right into the net. Boom, 2-1. That single goal didn't just change the scoreline. It breathed life back into an exhausted Belgian team. It was like they suddenly remembered exactly who they were. Watch how quickly Senegal's composure just crumbled here. In the 86th minute, Lukaku scores. Suddenly, Senegal panics. They drop way too deep. They completely lose their shape. Belgium sees this tactical disarray and just pushes harder. And then just 3 minutes later, in the 89th minute, Youri Tielemans finds the ball at his feet and unleashes this absolutely brilliant strike to level the game at 2-2. Literally, in 3 minutes, a comfortable victory was completely erased, sending this epic clash into a grueling extra time.
Now we enter Act 3. Extra time and heartbreak, the breaking point.
So, after the chaotic whiplash of those final minutes of regular time, extra time settled into this really steady, tense rhythm. Both teams were running on fumes, muscles cramping up. This wasn't a game of grand tactics anymore, it was a grueling battle of pure nerves. Both sides managed to scrape together a few half chances, a shot wide here, a desperate block there, but they were ultimately failing to break the deadlock. As the clock mercilessly drained away those final reserves of energy, a penalty shootout just seemed inevitable. Everyone in the stadium was holding their breath, bracing for the lottery of penalty kicks. We're approaching the final minute of the 120. The whistle is literally seconds away. But then, absolute chaos erupts in the box. Play stops, and we go to a heart-stopping stoppage time VAR review. I mean, the tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. And the decision comes down, penalty to Belgium. A critical lifeline handed to them at the absolute death of the game. And who steps up to the spot? Youri Tielemans, the very man who saved them in the 89th minute. It's the 120 plus 4th minute. The weight of an entire nation's World Cup hopes is resting squarely on Tielemans' shoulders. The pressure is just unfathomable. But stepping up to the spot, he kept his composure perfectly. He didn't even blink. He drilled the ball right past the Senegalese keeper, finding the back of the net when it mattered more than literally anything else in the world.
And with that, the miracle was complete. An unbelievable 3-2 comeback victory for Belgium. From being completely dead and buried in the 85th minute to fully resurrected by the 124th. It's a huge testament to the fact that on any given day, human willpower can just rewrite what seems totally inevitable.
Which leaves us with this final thought to ponder. Is this the greatest comeback in tournament history? What you should really take away is the ultimate lesson in resilience. It's definitive proof of the power of playing to the very last whistle. Whether it's the greatest ever is definitely up for debate, but the Seattle epic? Yeah, that will undoubtedly be etched in the history books forever. Thanks so much for joining.